guys, Anthony here with Empire Music and EmpireMusicOnline.com, and today showing you the Squier Classic Vibe Jaguar bass. I love this line. I think it's such a great lineup. I mean, this thing comes in at the time of filming here. Sometimes things change. I think like $399. So it's like a $400 bass, and hopefully that came through the video. And if Brent's doing his job right, which I'm sure he is, it certainly did. It sounded really good in this room. These are always a blast to play. I think you get a whole lot of great value in this whole line, whether we're talking about a bass or a guitar. Premium feel in an instrument, really premium sound. I know there's a lot of guys, and I just fielded a phone call the other day on a guy that wanted to, grab, I think it was one of these, or it might even have been like a Squier Affinity. He was like, oh, if I get it, can I mod it all out? And I said, well, you don't necessarily have to. Certainly you can, and I'm just inherently like not really a modder. I very rarely change anything in my basses, whether it's an inexpensive bass, which I own, or more expensive instruments, which I also own. I love, finding an instrument that just kind of has a nice vibe to it. No pun intended. It's out of the classic vibe line. See how I tie that all together? It's amazing. But it sounds really good, and I mean, if you didn't know this was a $400 bass, I think sonically it doesn't represent itself like that. And if you had it in your hands playing, I don't think you would think that it's a $400 bass at all. As I've always said with Squiers, the thing that we want to watch out for with them, because they are a lower price point than some other guitars out there, and I think you could take this across the board with any manufacturer. The need for maintenance is a little bit stronger on it, as you've heard me say in my other videos, and I think that rings true pretty much all the time, where you're going to get a bass and like this thing's playing absolutely great right now, but I might walk in tomorrow or in a few days and the neck gets a little bit out of whack on me, and just needs to have a quick tweak on it. That's just kind of the price of doing business at that price point, I guess, is that you just kind of need to watch and have a keen eye towards the maintenance. Doesn't make it bad. It's just, they're not quite the same build quality that an American-made instrument is, and even though they feel really good from the way the lacquer feels and its playability is really nice, I think it's just always worth noting that the lower price instruments, they'll last just as long. You just really need to have a good eye on what's going on with the instrument as far as humidity and dryness in the air. So, always keep that in mind with the instruments that at that price point. But they play great. This thing sounds awesome. A lot of versatile tones out of it. Not a ton of specs to go through with the Squier stuff. We'll start up top here. Squier tuners. We have a Laurel fretboard on there. Laurel is a cheaper alternative to Rosewood, so that's one way that they can kind of keep the cost down from a manufacturing perspective. It sounds very good. It's warm. It doesn't have that a lot of bite. Like the reason you want Rosewood versus Maple or versus Ebony is that it kind of tames some of that top end. I feel like Laurel does that just fine. It might not look quite as pretty, even though this one looks pretty good. Sometimes you'll find like a lighter grain in there than you would as far as the coloring, but this one looks fine. Urethane finish over everything. It's got a modern C neck on it. It's 1.5 inches at the nut, so it's a jazz bass width, and it is a 9.5 degree radius. As we move down, you can see the Jaguar offset body. Doesn't feel any different. I never noticed this until I look at it. I could be holding a J bass just the same, or a P bass. It doesn't seem to want to, tilt one way or another. I think, these instruments always have a little bit of a neck dive to it, but it's not uncomfortable by any means. What's really cool about this, and if you've seen past videos of mine, anytime we get jazz basses in here that have the stack knob configuration, I always really like it. This has that. It doesn't necessarily mean it has the same tonal characteristics that an old, 60 to mid 61 stack knob J bass has, but I like the look of it. That's a cool aesthetic to kind of put on an instrument like this. The biggest thing to note with this is scale length. It's not a full scale or a long scale instrument. It's not a short scale. It's a medium scale. So it's 32 inches from bridge saddles to nut. I think that's great. I think more basses should I wish manufacturers used 32 scale length more often, because what we like out of a 34 or a long scale is that broad sound, all that, you know, harmonic content that you get out of a longer scale length. And then what we like out of a short scale is we get that snappiness and that mid-range kind of punch, that cut and clarity that the short scale offers. Medium scale gives you a little bit of both, obviously being right in the middle there. So I always like that. It's a cool thing to add to your arsenal if you don't have that. It's great for someone starting out because the scale length is a little bit shorter. But it's funny, when I looked that up, I kind of thought, oh wait, that's 32? I thought it was 34. I don't know why. It just felt that way to me. I don't know if it's because I've been playing more short scale stuff. It just felt like a 34, but nonetheless, 32, so that's a cool scale length in there. Sonically, we have a P bass pickup, we have a J bass pickup in it, and you get a little bit of the best of both worlds there. You get that thuddiness, that roundness out of the P bass, you get the mid-range kind of bite and clarity out of the J bass pickup. There's Squier pickups in there, so they're not, I always notice on a J bass, I think the P pickup sounds great, and during the intro, that's all I was playing through. On a J pickup, a Squier J pickup, I notice a little bit of lack of low end out of that, so it's kind of nice to combine that with the P pickup. Doesn't mean it's bad, it just means you're gonna have a whole lot of mid-range cut, and you do notice a little bit of a drop off in the low end in it. Again, not bad, it's just like that gives you another variety, but I do notice a few shortcomings at that point out of the Squier pickups versus using like a traditional Fender pickup. So we're gonna put everything wide open there. So these are, and when you have concentric pots or stack knob configuration, you have volume, and tone. So stack knob, tones underneath, volumes on top, which is nice because you get you can really blend in a lot of different, you can really tailor that signal to what you want because you have two different tone controls. So everything wide open, tone all the way up, volume and volume both cranked up. So here's the sounds. And kind of the same thing with the pick. And I mean, that's a little bit bright for my taste. I think these pickups kind of have that sort of brashness to it. Again, just in that price point, you get that. So, but simply cured, we roll that tone back to about 70 on both, I'll say. Let's see where that's at. I'm gonna take that back, the bridge pickup back to about halfway. Move that up a little bit. Perfect. Pick time. And we'll roll just the P pickup in, so J pickup all the way out. I'm gonna take a little bit of tone off of that too. That was on 100. I'm gonna take that back to about 90. mistake. Just roll with it. So that's the P pickup. So now the J pickup. You hear what I mean? I'm not meaning that it's a bad pickup. I'm just saying that like you definitely notice the low end kind of move out of this. So if you really want that focused sound cutting through a mix, or if you're messing with pedals and like a pedal like an overdrive or something is just reacting better, or you know that it reacts better to a little bit more of a mid-range frequency, then that's a cool option for you. And I got that tone still rolled back on there about halfway. That actually sounds really good. Up higher, it'll sound great. That's nice, like Jocko-esque kind of tone. So great bass for the price point, like $400. You really can't beat it. If you're looking to add something either unique looking, unique feeling with a 32-inch scale length, these are awesome options for you across the board. Any questions on this or anything Fender, call me at the shop, 412-343-5299. If you got a guitar question, we'll probably point you in Todd or Joe's direction. But nonetheless, everything's always in stock here at Empire Music, empiremusiconline.com. Please subscribe, please share it around Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. You can email me directly, Anthony at empiremusiconline.com, and we will see you next time. Thanks.